how I taught myself to be more courageous. TED Talk. As I'm wearing my lucky and this, the same one I wore in the one day we won the yes vote. So courage, the ability to overcome fear and risk one's personal safety or sometimes even one's life, is recognized as one of humankind's greatest virtues. We certainly appreciate its usefulness. We are a fragile species and we face many threats, not least of all for ourselves. So, courage is essential for survival. Most of us value courage and would like to have more of it. But how should we go about getting it? Is courage something we are born with or something that we learn? Now, I'm certainly not the first person to ask this question. Everyone from Socrates to Putin had thought to understand, maximize, and exploit courage. Now, for disclosure, I am not an expert. I am a comedian, but I am descended from a long life of very brave people, of which I am not one. From the moment Hitler invaded Poland in the start of World War II, every member of my father's family, including my grandmother and my aunt, was heavily involved in resistance. They were active combats. They smuggled guns into the Jews' ghetto, and throughout the war they hid and assisted Jewish people. Had they been caught, they would be killed if they were lucky. Much more likely, they would be tortured. All my life, I have wondered, would I have the courage to do what they did? I hope I would, but I fear I would not. Seeking answers, I treat my family as a kind of living instruction manual. I would pass to them asking why they did what they did, where did their courage come from. But they would look back at me with weird incomprehension. They had no insight into their own behavior. In fact, they didn't even consider their actions to be courageous. The best they could offer, they did what they did because it was the right thing to do. This mantra was so automatic as to be almost meaningless. But perhaps that is the point. Because when the time comes, there is no time for reflection. Only reflect. And the motor code breathed into their over generation of invasion was like a well-trained muscle, primed to take the right action. Even so, there is no guarantee. My father would always say to me, Magda, until you are there, you do not know what will you do. And sure enough, when the time finally came for the test of my courage, it was not in a form I expected or wanted. It was not for a noble cause of which I could be proud. It was a test of me, of my courage to be who I truly am. I began to realize I was gay when I was about 5 or 6 years old, a tender age. And at first I felt okay about this, but I quickly learned that being same sex attracted was not only not okay, it was a sin. It was in fact a very opposite of the right thing to do. It is hard, perhaps impossible, to stand up for something that you're ashamed of. Now, to be clear, I am capable of courage. When I was 19, I worked in a women's refugee town when there was no police protection. And when I bombed exploitees in my street, I was one of the few who ran towards the flame to offer assistance. But for myself, I had no courage. It just evaporated in a cloud of shame and excruciating shyness. What I did have, however, was the desire to be courageous. So I set about learning. To be honest, my father was no help. His uttered feelings only served to discourage me. And in fact, growing up listening to his friend talking about the war shattered any romantic Hollywood illusion I have about heroism. I was schooled in its true cost. I saw life ruined, frightened by futile, sometimes misdirected act of valor. Courage, doing the right thing, can even have monstrous unintended consequences. One particular story haunts me. A friend of my father never got over the suicide of his elderly parents, who killed themselves rather than risk the virgin snapped to the gusto under torture. So, first, I challenge this crossing generation fear. Although that's reality, cruel, harrowing reality, was it realistic or even relevant to be here now? Secondly, I began studying in a very informal way people who overcame their fear. Now, it wasn't terribly conscious process. It was more a matter of just paying attention and noticing. I watched his biography on History Channel. I would look for clues in magazine and memory and moving and scholarly article and self-help books. Slowly, over time, I nourished and cultivated my courage. Over the years, I came up to friends and family and colleagues. I did decades of therapy to overcome my internalized homophobia. And as I became more famous, I pushed myself to step from behind the mask of my characters and appear more in public as my real self. For example, I became the face of Jenny Craig